Joining me now with his take is Heritage Foundation Research Fellow Joel Griffith with more. Joel, good to see you. First of all, at least we're going to have fewer cancellations, but people still don't have their bags, for goodness sakes. And it leads me to question the amount of money that we spent on airlines during the COVID crisis. Total of $64 billion. Southwest alone got $3.3 billion during the Trump era, and they got $3.8 billion from Biden's rescue plan. Where did all that money go?
Well, the bulk of the money that went to Southwest and other airlines for the Paycheck Protection Program actually went to pay the tens of thousands of employees who weren't working to ensure that they would have a job once the shutdown era began. And of course, that PPP program was put in place due to the dastardly shutdowns that local, state, and federal governments put in place. Those shutdowns should have never happened. So these airlines likely would have gone belly up and bankrupt because of the ineptitude of our federal government in putting in place so many restrictions on those airlines.
Well, meanwhile, you have Pete Buttigieg saying he's going to solve everything. To put things in perspective, I want to play a soundbite from a late show that he was on back in September about how things were going with the airline industry. Roll tape.
Do you think this issue will be sorted in time for the holidays?
I think it's going to get better by the holidays. We're really pressing the airlines to deliver better service.
So the guy who says this is going to be better service, and we see what that better service means in reality, now says about Southwest that he's going to take action to do what is necessary to make the airline accountable. What kind of action? Here's the guy who said it's all going to be solved by the holidays. What kind of action do you think he's going to take that'll make anything better?
Well, this is the same Secretary of Transportation that took weeks of personal leave in the middle of the shipping backlogs that resulted in bare store shelves for months last year. Let's remember that. But what I'm worried about is that this administration, including the Secretary of Transportation, they do not want to let this crisis go to waste. And by that, I mean they're going to end up putting in place a lot of so-called consumer protections that appear to be trying to help us, but will actually drive up the costs of discount tickets, making it less affordable for the middle class to fly. And of course, that's the long-term goal of a lot of those on the radical left. Airlines are big CO2 emitters. And if they can put in place regulations that make it more difficult for us to obtain cheap tickets as middle-class Americans, that long-term, that's going to result in fewer airline miles traveled. And that is exactly what they want.
So it's a part of the new Green Deal, is what you're saying.
Absolutely. They've made no bones about it. They view the transportation industry, particularly airlines, as big contributors to what they call human-caused climate change. So we need to keep an eye on them. They're going to put in place all these protections, whether it's bag allowances or refunds if you have flight delays. But let's remember, there's always a bigger agenda when it comes to these D.C. bureaucrats.
Well, and there's a very simple bigger agenda. Is that it's a power grab. They want the federal government to take over operations of airline industry, right?
Well, that's what they've done. And decades ago, the federal government played a much bigger role in the airline industry. And the airline industry was deregulated in the 1970s, and we, the consumers, have benefited. Our airline prices have only risen at about half the pace as overall inflation, and that's because the industry was deregulated. Well, now that there's this climate change agenda, the federal government realizes that if they're going to meet their targets that they've promised in Paris, they're going to have to rein this industry in. And so it's to their advantage to use this crisis as an excuse to put in place all these new provisions that will, in effect, drive down demand because new prices, the price hikes are going to go into effect.
I don't want to do a history lesson here, but what you mentioned is very interesting because it was a Democratic administration, Jimmy Carter, who deregulated the airlines. The last head of the Civil Aeronautics Board, the CAB, Civil Aeronautics Board, was a guy named Alfred Kahn. He was a Democrat. He was working for a Democrat administration. He essentially deregulated himself out of business, which was much to his credit. There's a picture of Al Kahn. He was a great guy. I used to interview him. He's passed away now. But the fact is that when CAB went away in the late 1970s, that's when you had the emergence of all these low-fare airlines. Before that, I mean, airline travel was just, you could only afford to do it like once a year if you were in the middle class. And then all these low-fare airlines came into existence, People Express and all the others, and it made flight travel very affordable for most of Americans. That might go away if we have another power grab by the federal government.
Well, that's right. We had dozens of new competitors enter the marketplace in the 1970s, and that helped drive down costs. And now when I see the leading members of the United States Senate and Secretary Pete talk about restricting the ability of airlines to charge for baggage allowances, or perhaps telling airlines that they can't have these compact seat arrangements. Well, look, none of us like flying economy. I fly it a lot. But we have to remember, it's the ability of these airlines to cater to our demands in terms of lower prices that have resulted in these no-frill airlines. If you eliminate the no-frill airlines in response to what we saw this past week with Southwest, that is simply going to price out the middle class. And you know, high-level business executives, or those even more wealthy with private jets, they're still going to be able to afford to fly. If their costs go from $300 to $600, they're going to be able to afford it. But for the typical family, let's say you're stuck in D.C. or Philadelphia and you want a weekend getaway to Miami, and right now you can get that flight for $200. You're able to get that flight for $200 because you're flying no frills. Force these airlines to provide these services to all consumers, you're not going to get those tickets for $200 anymore. Those tickets are going to be $400, $500. And for many middle-class families, that means you're going to have to sit at home in the cold. Yeah. But once again, if you're a climate change alarmist, that's a positive. That means fewer people flying. That's the bottom line.
And by the way, as bad as Southwest and other airlines might have managed this holiday, imagine Pete Buttigieg being a better manager than folks in the business. I don't think so. The other point is, by the way, the Civil Aeronautics Board, taxpayers didn't have to pay for that bureaucracy when it went away. Now they're going to be adding more bureaucracies, so it means that the debt is going to go up further, which means more costs for taxpayers as well. We got to leave it at that. Thank you so much for being here. Good to see you, my friend.